All right, I think we're online. Nice to see you back in the room, hanging out, Ethan, and meet Lova, who's QGIS full-time web developer. You've seen his name around.
You've done a wonderful job with the new website. It looks absolutely wonderful.
Good, and there's a whole other team of people behind that as well. All right, so the goal of today's session is just to introduce the world a little bit to the new website that we've deployed and tell you a little bit about the story behind it and invite you to participate in its further future development. So we're joined in the room today by Lova. I've never tried to pronounce your surname, Lova. Andriarimalala. How's that?
Yes, that's right.
That's not an easy one to do for me. But so Lova is paid by the QGIS project to help to maintain the infrastructure. And we're also joined by Ethan, who's a long-time friend of the QGIS community and general good guy. I don't know how best to do it, what your official title is, Ethan. And I'm Tim Sutton, also a long-time friend of the QGIS community. Maybe not always a good guy, but I try my best. And so we just want to tell you a little bit about the story about building the new QGIS website, and maybe field any questions you have about it. Maybe there was some discussion about, losing some functionality and so on, which we're happy to talk about if we want to. And we have somebody from Ethiopia in the chat, which is fantastic. Hello, Jakub. And So the idea for having a new website has been floating around for a long time. We built, this is the third version of the website that we have for QGIS. The second version we worked on, I think it was back in about 2013 or something like that, where we had some actually sponsorship from a company whose name I forget now, who are no longer actually from Boundless. Boundless was made a designer and some of the team time available to us, and we revamped the website, gave it a bit of a freshening, and we built it on this technology called Sphinx, and sort of integrated it along with the other workflows for building documentation and the user docs and the user manual and so on. And that site lasted us for a good 11 years. But over the last few years, we've increasingly been feeling like the site doesn't really do us. Hi, Alexandra. Alexandra is from the team that helped do all the heavy lifting for making the new QGIS website. So feel free to hop on mic anytime, Alexandra. So we wanted a new website which had a different message, and the message of the old site was very much organically built. It wasn't designed. It was, we thought of a new page that needed to be on the site, and we added it, and we focused very much on the community and the open source parts of QGIS, which is very important. But our feeling in building this new website was that we wanted to speak to a new audience, and that new audience was the professional procurement or decision maker who was looking at QGIS alongside of some, commercial proprietary vendors' products and trying to decide whether QGIS was the right choice for them. So before in the old site, the messaging didn't really come across very well for this kind of a user, and we felt like we should change our messaging to really speak to that user and say, what, QGIS is 20 years old. We're a mature, professional project, and that's the first message you should get about the software. And all the other parts about open source and community and everything, they, like I said, they're very important, but they're not the first message. The first message should be that we stand on our own 2 feet as a professional, ready to use in your organization GIS. So about 2 years ago, I started prototyping a new design for the website, and also looked at new technology using something called Hugo, which is a content management, or it's a static website generation tool. It's an open source platform that you can use to build a website. It pre-renders all the pages, so there's no dynamic generation of the pages on the fly, like you might get from a Django or Ruby on Rails or similar kind of app. We wanted that because we wanted to be fast, and we expect a lot of traffic to come to the QGIS project, and we wanted the maintenance to be low. And I started building, and I promised we'd have that site. I think the Christmas of 2023, I promised to be ready. And Christmas 23 came and went, and actually, I think it was Christmas 2022 that I promised it would be ready, and that came and went, and there was no website yet. I spent a bunch of time working on it, but I'm not a designer and so on. Eventually, we talked to the project steering committee in QGIS and applied to get some funding to appoint a professional design team, and we had 2 applications for our call for funding. You can see on the blog.qgis.org, you can see the original call, of which one was Contour, and Alexandra and her team came forward and made a great proposal for us, and they got busy. And Alexandra, you feel free to jump in if you want to. I mean, maybe we can even pull up some of your Figma boards. Let's see if I can get it open here. And they built us a nice design palette on Figma. Just going to see if I can get it open here quickly. Alexandra, if you can get it open faster than me, feel free.
Yeah, I can try to find it. Yeah, just a minute.
And we workshopped a bunch of things about, what should go on the website, and Alexandra also developed an information architecture that is like the structure of the site and how we should organize the navigation and the flow of people through the website. And they did a lot of very probably boring for them work of like trolling through the old site, looking at every link and every page, trying to understand what was important, what was not important. And eventually, we actually had started with the design before they joined us, and that they then took us like a starting point as well, and then added their own ideas to that. Let's see if this is going to work. And we had a comment period, and we invited the community to come and give their inputs. I'm on the right deck here, Alexandra. I think I am. And let me just try to navigate my way through here.
Yeah, there are several pages in this document. You should find it somewhere in the left panel. Yeah, probably. Yeah, you are on the cover page, so you can see it at the top where you can see the search button.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I think we might even have some of the early designs here of these. We tried a lot of different ideas. I think this was the one before Contour joined us. We'd already sort of been scratching around, trying to propose some ideas, and they just came and leveled everything up and really made it a lot more professional and thoughtful and well designed and so on. So this is kind of like what we landed up with in our discussions as the concept. We spent a long time trying to come up with the strap lines as well. I think there was like a 1 hour, 2 hour discussion in the Hackfest in Holland last year, just talking about this 3 words that we put on the top of the page, because we wanted a very clear message and an unapologetic message. And I don't know if we have the information architecture. Is it on this page? So they, the Contra team came up with like example pages for everything, but also came up with a design for the information architecture. Let me just see if I can find it.
This was in separate Figma file.
Okay, let me just get that link from you. And hello, Natsea as well, who also did amazing stuff building the site.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, so the Contour team, they built something like this, which was kind of like a mind map of the whole website and all the information and how it's organized. And we try to have some clear categories about where each page belonged, and try to have the navigation to be simple. And so that was the first sort of part, was getting the design concept and then the information architecture. And then they started with the very laborious task of like migrating content over from the old site and editing down the information. We didn't want to just copy everything directly over from the old site, but we wanted to edit it down, make it simpler, and get rid of unnecessary content and so on. Until eventually we got to what we have today, which is the new website. With, I think, very nice clean design and very accessible information on it. We decided early on that we were going to do it all in English. I know that irritated a few people, and I apologize to those that it irritated, because I know a lot of people invested a lot of time in translating the old site, but we did have a strategic objective behind doing it in English, which I have described in quite some detail in this article that we wrote on the QGIS blog. But basically, the main point that we try to make is that the new website is going to be a cohesive design that will be put onto all of the websites. So as you move from, for example, the main website over to the plugins website, if you go here, at the moment, the design is not cohesive, but our roadmap is that all of the designs will be cohesive amongst all of the QGIS websites. And to do that, and have the translations organized across all of the website is a huge job. So we said we want to focus on rather having everything in English, but with a cohesive design as the first objective. And then later we can try and think about how to manage translations. There are some other issues with translations that we need to address as well. So this first step of the process of getting the design language for QGIS.org will then inform the process that we follow for the second round, which is hopefully we can work with Contour again in a future round of work to actually go through all of the other websites and make them have the same look and feel as the main QGIS website. And so as part of that process, Contour developed this toolbar, or the menu bar, which is going to be the same on every single website. And then the second level menu bar, which will morph into a subdomain specific menu bar depending on where you are. So for example, if you're on the plugins website, the plugin actions that you can do will be on this sub menu over here. And that will allow you always to come back to the main site easily, and then we'll have this like hub and spokes design where you can easily jump into other areas of the QGIS project and come back to the center, the central part, which is qgis.org. Alexandra, do you want to add anything to the narrative, maybe from your perspective?
Maybe just a short note that we considered, of course, the UI kit that were already developed in QGIS and used already in QGIS websites. And of course, we took into consideration the drafts and designs of the community that already were drafted in Figma. And also we saw a lot of conversations about designs and looked at them, made some notes, and also we tried to consider everything we could. And yeah, the final result that we have right now is looking like that.
Yeah, we had some really good feedback, and a lot of people have been very positive about the new design. We're very happy with it. It's not final. Like, there are still things that we will do. Eventually, every of the subsidiary websites should be easy to navigate from here. So that means we still have work to do on our navigation and so on. But we try to address some of the big shortcomings from the old site as well. So maybe we can show some of the interesting things that we've done. We have this paradigm of these blocks with images and text. If you go and get an overview of the project, you'll see that Contour had made this really nice like product description where you can see the different main functionalities of QGIS, and hopefully gives a bit of a wow factor when you first discovering what the project is about. We took some of the things that were problematic before and we tried to improve the experience. So this is the new roadmap user interface. Before, in the old website, we had a little bit of text up in the top right-hand corner, which kind of didn't look very pretty and wasn't very easy to understand for a lot of people. And we tried to come up with something that was a lot more intuitive. And now you can see we've split out basically you can come and see when any next release is going to happen, and what the phase, where we are in the phase of that release preparation. So that's one of the nice improvements we have. The downloading process as well. Downloading is obviously an inflection point in the user's journey through the website, from where they've come to look about what is this project and what is it about, through to actually making the decision to try it. And in the old website, we had for a long time we had no donation page on this inflection point. And when we did add the donation page, the amount of donations to QGIS increased a lot. And that's because that is the sort of golden moment of when a user is about to get some value from us, that they might give some value back to us as well. And so we wanted to keep this interstitial page before the actual download, but Conto really helped us to improve the experience a lot. And now you can donate monthly as well as just a single once-off donation. And I think the design is really nice and clean, and we've got some nice default options as well, so that people can get an idea of like what might be a nice amount of money to put in the tip jar. And the download pages as well, these will open up according to whichever platform you're on. But there was some thinking around the idea of like, what is it that we recommend people to install? Many people feel that the long-term releases of QGIS don't get enough emphasis, and so we intentionally got Contour to kind of like highlight this one when you're on the download page, so that's kind of like what you will be drawn to first, and when you're trying to decide which one to download. Yeah, we've also brought through a lot of the other nice aspects from the old site. We've got a gallery of case studies that we brought through from the old site. And if you're out there using QGIS doing something amazing, we'd love to have more case studies coming here, because they really speak to the ability to use QGIS in the real world. Yeah, so I think I won't show you every page, but really encourage you to go and explore and just have a look around what we've done. I don't know if there's something else you think I should highlight, Alexandra, that you thought was particularly exciting for people to look at.
In general, the website is quite exciting to look at. But also, one of the things that we decided to pay a lot of attention to is the page for potential funders of community. So I see that there is the chapter called funding, and we can go there to see the sustaining membership program, if I'm not mistaken. The page is called something like this. Yes, we have it in our menu. So for example, this page is also quite important. So we put our forces to make it the best version we could done.
It looks really beautiful. Yeah. And I think a lot of people really appreciate the kind of GIS hints of the contour maps and things as the background behind these blocks, and just this like a rich feeling of being in a GIS project that you get from looking at the design elements. We also obviously have a lot of donors, and they've all been given a nice gallery here. And also, if you're on the front page of the website, all our funders, all the sustaining members, we have a beautiful gallery for them at the bottom here. So if you're thinking about funding QGIS as a sustaining member, you can get some airtime on the front of the website here. And another nice touch that Contour added was this add your logo here, which basically will take you through to the sustaining membership program. And again, very nice, clear messaging explaining, how to go about becoming part of that program. Just everything laid out beautifully. And one of the other things to mention as well that Contour really did was put a lot of effort to make sure that the website looks good on the mobile device. So I'll show you go like this and sort of emulate a phone. can see that everything collapses beautifully and just looks great on a phone as well. And in general, we have a few tickets coming in about performance, but I think in general the performance has been really good as well. Lova did some fantastic stuff to improve the compactness of the pages that get generated. And if you are on the mobile, you should have a good experience browsing the website now. And there's some, one of my favorite features of the new website is this little hamburger menu here that Contour's designer went and did this very nice whimsical interaction to turn it into an X, which I really like that feature. So that's kind of what we built together. Like I said, it's still an ongoing process in the actual GitHub page for the new website. Again, everything is open and you can find it in this link here. You can see that there's an issue tracker. If you've got some issues with the website, you can come and report it here. And we're trying to keep the issue queue short. There's 16 open issues, and we're working hard to keep it as short as possible so it's not overwhelming for us. One of the really nice things about the new website is that it's simple to edit the content. So all of the content is in this content folder. And if you want to go and fix some wording or make some tweaks to it or something like that, you can find the page that you're wanting to edit. I don't know if this is the best example to choose, but anyway, let's take this and then let me go back. This was not the best example to choose. Let's go to like our diversity statement, for example. And here you'll see that it's just simple markdown. We have some special block elements that, again, the Contour team helped us to build a collection of reusable blocks, which you can add to the markdown, and that will render a block on the page or what have you. But really, compared to the old site where you had to write in restructured text, which is much more technical, everything is in markdown and it's pretty approachable and easy to just start typing and make some small edits. It's very quick and easy to do. One of the interesting things that happened on the journey as well is that Contour, when they started interacting with us, they said, "Oh, we would like to have metrics about who's using the website and what they're doing on the website and so on." So we added a Matomo instance to the QGIS infrastructure. And Matomo is like an open source platform for doing similar things to what you would do in Google Analytics. So today, Lova and I merged Matomo support to the new website as well. So we will, over time, be able to understand more about the users coming to the website, and that is part of a bigger ongoing initiative in the QGIS project, which stems back to some discussions we had back maybe 5 years ago, 6 years ago in Denmark at one of the Hackfests, where we were saying, well, if we want to serve our users well, we need to understand them. And so we added the feed to QGIS, which is like when you start the QGIS application, you get this news panel. And we've added analytics. I'll show you some of the other analytics in a minute. And they're all kind of like privacy respecting and anonymized and what have you. And now we have the analytics on the new website as well. So we will be able to track who's using the website and what devices they're using and what format devices they're using and so on. If I refresh this, you can see a lot of Apple users, but then a whole bunch of, I guess these are people on their PCs or what have you. And there is all sorts of interesting insights we can get from from this. For example, being able to see country by country who's visiting the website, or over time, like which days are busy and which days are not busy, and so on. So that's going to be exciting in the longer term, to actually be able to understand a little bit about who's coming to the website. I believe we'll also be able to do things like understanding which page they arrive at the website on, and which pages get the most visits, and so on, so that we can actually understand what is the information people are looking for. You can see, for example, we've got these entry pages here. So you can see most people arrive at the download page first. It's probably not a huge surprise, right? And then others arrive at the landing page, and then everything else becomes a sort of a mix. One of the other things that Contour helped us with was creating redirects. So we tried to have redirects in place between all the old links and the new ones, so that you get a good experience. Natzea built us a whole spreadsheet with all the old entry points and the new equivalents, and Lova helped to implement that as a set of rules on the deployment. So hopefully people trying to find an old link will come to the right place on the new website if there is an equivalent place. Okay, I'm just going to check if there's any questions from the floor. If anybody has any comments or questions. I said I was going to show you a little bit about the analytics though. So I'll just show you also what else we do in terms of tracking user habits and so on. So Lova's actually been making a new analytics on dashboard on plugins. I don't know if you fixed those issues yet, Lova, but there's still a few little things that he's tweaking. Is this one, Lova?
Yes, it's this one.
So this gives you just like a dashboard showing you how many plugins are available on the plugin repository. Absolutely amazing, just the number of people that are building tools and projects on top of QGIS. And then here you can see the total number of downloads that we've had across all the plugins. I think across all time since we've been recording downloads, which I'll have to check what the start date was, but it's a huge amount of people downloading plugins. You can see just in the last month, 1 million downloads. And then you can get some interesting insights into which ones are the most popular quick map services. In case you don't know it, it lets you add a bunch of different base layers, for example, OpenStreetMap or other ones, to QGIS. And you can see Quick OSM and the semi-automatic classification plugin, super popular as well. And then just how many people have actually built plugins. We have at 4,800 plugin owners. Sometimes they might be representing bigger teams, and just how the growth of plugins has been happening over the last 14 years. It's really quite amazing to see. And then also some things about who's using plugins, which is also interesting. Seems like the United States are the biggest consumer of plugins around the world. And you get some interesting things about the temporal download activities, which you'll see represented on the QGIS feed analytics too, which I'll show you in a minute. And these dips represent weekends. So people don't spend as much time on QGIS on the weekends as they do in the week. Which is another indication that QGIS has been used in a professional environment rather than just as somebody using it at home. So that's the analytics for the plugins, which is I don't know if we have a public link for this page yet, but it will be available soon. And then we also have this page here, analytics.qgis.org. And you can get a sense of just how busy QGIS is. So this page is populated by traffic from our feed website. So just to give you a bit of context, when you open QGIS, it calls out to this page, this website called feed.qgis.org. So you can see the same content here is here. And this is like the content management system for the feed. And so Lova's built some beautiful tooling here that will let you go and author a new message to put out in the feed. And when you author it, you can also geofence it and say for which region it's going to be sent out. And then when it gets sent out, it will arrive in this news panel in QGIS. And this is a fantastic way for us to communicate messages to our users. But we also, when you check for this, for the updates, we also can see who's visiting basically where QGIS is being used and opened. And so from that, we were able to build this dashboard. I wrote a little bit of a narrative at the top here explaining how we preserve your privacy in the process. We didn't want to build something that was privacy invasive. So we anonymize the IP addresses and we aggregate everything. We store only the aggregate information in our database. But from here, you can see this is probably the most sort of reflective one, which is basically how many people open QGIS every day. And again, you can see that over the weekends, Fridays, people not working too hard as well, I guess. But over the weekends, people are using QGIS a lot less than during the week. Again, reinforcing this idea that QGIS is used in a professional environment. And around the world, you can see where QGIS is opened. I think this was normalized by population. One of these was normalized by population. Yeah, this one, it's normalized by population. So you can see in Greenland, the large, the highest portion per capita of the population uses QGIS than most other countries around the world. It's just a fun fact. And then you can see all sorts of interesting information about the platforms that people are using and so on to connect to QGIS or to run QGIS on. Yeah, so all of these things and all of the other subsidiary sites that I mentioned, like the feed page and all of the sites for the changelog and the certification program and all of those things, they're going to get the same treatment and have the same visual identity as the main website. And we will continue that work over the next couple of years, probably. Lova, in his capacity as QGIS web developer, will be doing some of that, and we'll hopefully engage with Contour again in the future as well to help to accelerate that process. And that's really the update on the website from my side. I think we can open the floor to any questions or anybody in the room here. If you want to add something to what I've said, feel free to hop on the mic. Everybody is on Friday afternoon mode, but otherwise we can just wrap up there. Go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, I think mine is a bit an obvious question. How can one become a member of the program that we can see on the screen right here?
How can you become a member of the Sustaining Membership Program?
Yes.
Yeah, you can visit the website here, and then this page will detail everything for you. The sustaining membership program is for individuals or usually companies that want to fund QGIS. If that's your question, yeah, you can come to this page here to find out more. Or if your question is more about joining the community, we also have some like onboarding process for getting people involved, I guess. Which one is it that you're interested in?
Yeah, thanks so much for the clarification. I'm much more personally interested to becoming not a member of like the people who can fund, no, but I mean becoming a member of the people who develops tools. At least maybe get exposure to some of the tricks that maybe can accelerate my progress to develop tools that I can use for my research, but also for other people to use.
Mm-hmm. So it's because we're an open source community, there is like really zero barrier for entry for you to get started and getting involved in the community. The usual route that people will follow is if you which country are you in, Patrick?
I'm from the Republic of Malawi in Africa.
Okay, welcome. So so, for example, if you go and look in our community page here and you look at the local user groups, what we usually do is we encourage you to become, to establish within your country or your region a local user group. And there's no PE or anything to do this. It's just a question of you getting organized and establishing a local community. And the idea would be then you can like self-organize within your community first, because it's kind of hard to participate up in the global community from the beginning, maybe. But if you create a local community and collaborate with the people in your local group, you can then expand your efforts out into the global context. And those efforts may be, for example, many of the user groups contribute time or funding or ideas or whatever effort to the project in various ways. So you can, for example, say in Malawi, I wish we had these features in QGIS that would really help Malawians to make better use of QGIS. And then what you could do within your group is go and collaboratively fund somebody to build it. Could ideally be a Malawian software developer. You find that you can say, we want to hire you or work with you or get you to volunteer to build a plugin or a feature or something that we need to help us get our work done in QGIS. And so that's sort of like a approach of starting in your local community is what we really recommend. But if you want to get involved in the central part of the project, where, like, for example, coding or working on the website or writing documentation, we'd love to have you involved there as well. And it's just a matter of reaching out to myself or anybody in the QGIS core community and saying you want to help. Like, who do you speak to? And we'll point you to the right person. Ethan, before you jump on the mic, I think somebody else was, Tidius was trying to add a comment.
Yes, greetings everyone.
Hello.
Yes, is my voice clear?
Yes, beautifully clear.
Yes, thank you, team. And I just joined recently, and this was a very nice and intuitive description that you have been giving about the user groups. And my question is actually focused on the user groups. It has been like for the months now, I have been trying to be in contact with specifically with the card Menke. And you see, we have been actually trying to formulate a one user group based in Tanzania, but the links that are found in the QGIS website, they haven't been working for the English version, I think. And we have had the issue reported, and it hasn't been resolved. And I was just wondering, do we have any other proper means of reporting such issues whenever arises, or maybe some dedicated point of contact that we need to get in touch in case we need to, in case when we get into such a kind of problems?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you. I recognize your accent from when you said you were from Tanzania. Yeah, so if you have difficulty, I mean, you have to understand we mostly are volunteers. I mean, pretty much everybody is a volunteer except for Lova and Selma, who's Selma, you still here? Yeah, Selma's in the room as well. The rest of us, we're volunteers, and we try our best to help when we can. But sometimes we're busy with life and we can't always, or we maybe miss something. So I would suggest, first of all, the new bug tracker for the new website. You can make a note of this and file any issues relating to the website here, because we will see it here and we will for sure like to make sure that you have a good experience finding the information you need to start a user group, for example. But also we have a Telegram group, which and a Facebook group, which the Facebook group has got, I think, 50, 60,000 people in it. So it's a pretty busy community, but they really nicely moderate the group and try to help everybody in that group. And the Telegram group as well, you can reach out. I'm on the Telegram group. You can reach out to myself or just find somebody you know, like a name that you recognize, and just try to reach out to that person and say, hey, I'm having a problem. Can you help me? And we're usually happy to help you. We like it if you've made initial effort yourself. So if you've at least been to the page and tried to read it and eventually found a broken link, it's better than if you're just saying, what should I do? And you haven't actually gone and looked on a website or something like that. I hope that answers your question, but for sure, you can feel free to reach out to me, or actually in Tanzania is one of my colleagues, Samweli, who is very active in QGIS as well, so you could also reach out to him. I'm happy to share you his contact details afterwards as well, if you like. Yeah, Ethan wanted to mention something as well. It's relating to a plugin. Maybe let's see if there's any more questions just relating to the website and finding your way around in the community. Okay, Ethan, maybe you want to jump on the mic.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. And, thank you for all the work that you guys have done for the website. Looks fantastic. So I just want to give a little update on something that I have been working on. It is, let's see. There we go. It is still heavily work in progress. Let's see. There we go. To give a brief overview of what I've been working on, is making a QGIS plugin. Can everyone see the lovely graphic?
Yes.
So is taking the QGIS processing tools and the processing models and putting it into more of a node-based processing interface. This is a very rough sketch mock-up of the general idea and concept. Here is more of a mock-up of what an individual node would look like. It exposes the individual inputs a little better with direct access to the inputs. You can pipe things in and out of things. It makes intermediary processing of, like if you want to do some preliminary processing of like, for instance, the distance input to this buffer tool. If you wanted to do some kind of math or something to this, you could have a node before it. In this case, a math node or something, and do something with it. So with that, what I have right now is very work in progress. It's in PyQt. I have a basic node showing up here with the grid. Eventually, there's going to be sockets to pipe things in and out of. And a previous version I did, I've been doing a lot of refactoring and fixing of things, ended up rewriting it. Previous version I had already had some form of the QGIS processing models in here. So the idea is to make it as a plugin. I do believe there was a QEP that someone had posted about wanting to do it to the actual QGIS core in C++, but I think it'd be a little easier to do right now in Python as a plugin. So that's going to be coming soon as a plugin. Would like to have some feedback ideas.
It's basically Node-RED, but for QGIS.
Pretty much. People who are familiar with Blender, using Blender's nodes for the materials or the new famous geometry nodes, stuff like that. Turns out I didn't know this until a little more recent in time. There's another proprietary GIS application that has a similar kind of overall workflow to this, like it's called a FME. They have a very node-based processing workflow.
How does it differ from the existing model builder in QGIS? And would you see it as an eventual replacement or as a companion to using that?
Well, having it as a plugin still allows the existence of the current modeler. One thing that I do plan on changing is some of the user experience. Because right now in the current modeler, if you have a giant model chain that you've built and then you realize, oh, I chose the wrong processing tool smack dab in the middle of my model, I can't just delete that middle process node. I have to either add a new one or do a giant delete chain upstream, and it's a bit of a pain. This would be removing that limitation. And another thing is the plugin would also be shipping with a lot of modeler nodes. So currently in QGIS, in the modeler, there's a small number of tools that exist solely in the modeler that are used for the modeler to help ease things up. I have plans on making a lot of these additional convenience nodes to work on processing, including things like iterating over features in a layer, things like for each loops within the model, processing individual geometry, getting attributes from geometry, working with coordinate systems. So a lot of stuff that currently can be done in the current QGIS modeler.
I think Ujjwal Gandhi and I and a few others, we had I don't know if it made it into a QEP, but we actually had a list of enhancements as well that we wanted to propose, including things like for loops and so on. I just don't know if it made it into a QEP or not, but you may want to reach out to him as well and show him what you're doing, because he was also thinking about the same space.
Yeah, okay.
That looks exciting, yeah. And I think it's a good approach to build it as a plugin, like prove it, and then later come and propose to replace the one in QGIS with that, once you've got some critical mass of functionality. And
yeah, especially with it's obviously it's in PyQt, so porting the code over one day to C++ shouldn't be too much of a challenge since it's already in the same framework.
Very nice. Thanks, Ethan. Good.
No problem. Thank you.
Anybody else have any random questions or comments or something they want to show? We've got 5 minutes left. We can wrap up the session. I think the stream might auto stop in 5 minutes. And greetings to everybody watching on the stream from China and Indonesia and Korea and so on. It's great to have you in the room. We'll try to do some more open sessions. I'm trying to get Niall to come and join me for an open session again. We can just have an open mic session maybe the next open day and talk about what's happening, what's in the future of QGIS. Maybe some people like to know a little bit about what's on the roadmap. Otherwise, thank you everybody who jumped in the room here and who's joined us on the YouTube stream, and have a good weekend and enjoy the new QGIS website. Thank you for everybody, Contour and Lova and everybody else who's contributed to the new website. Really appreciate all your help.